Good evening and welcome to the Scrutiny Committee meeting of Melton Borough Council. Members are reminded that we'll be using the audio-visual system this evening, and the meeting will also be streamed live on YouTube. There is a quick reference card placed on the desk in front of you, which provides instruction on how to use the basic speaking function of the microphone. Members are asked physically to raise their hands in the usual way to indicate they wish to speak, and to use their microphones when speaking for the benefit of all present. The microphone is live when the red light displays. Please switch mobile phones to silent. Should you need to leave the room during the meeting, unless it is an emergency evacuation, when emergency exits should be used, please use the marked exit and entrance. I will now provide a reminder of the evacuation procedure. In the event of having to evacuate the council chamber, please leave by one of the 6 emergency exits around the sides of the chamber. Please assemble at the far side of the front car park nearest to the park entrance. Officers will be on hand to assist persons who require any assistance. Public recording of the meeting. There is legislation that allows the public to film, record or use social media at a council meeting. This must not be disruptive to the good order of the meeting, nor include any filming or recording of the public seating area. I confirm that the following members are present and participating in this meeting: Councillor Prue Chandler, Councillor Jeannie Douglas, Councillor Chris Evans, Councillor Margaret Glancy, Councillor John Illingworth, Councillor Pam Posnett, and Councillor Robert Child, who is the chair. We also welcome the portfolio holder for People and Communities, i.e. the Deputy Leader, Councillor Melise Graham. In addition to this, we have the following Melton Borough Council officers in attendance: the Director for Housing and Communities, i.e. the Deputy Chief Executive, Michelle Howard, Senior Democratic Services and Scrutiny Officer, Adam Green, and Democratic Services Officer, Catherine Richards. We'll now go to the agenda. Item 1, apologies for absence. I've got apologies from Councillor Elaine Holmes and Councillor Mel Steadman. Item 2, to confirm the minutes of the scrutiny meeting held on the 22nd of February 2022. Have you had a good read of them? And if so, could I have a proposer and a seconder that they are accurate? Councillor, I think Pam was first, I'll second. Yeah, Councillor Posnett and Councillor Chandler second. Thank you. Item 3, declarations of interest.
On the minutes.
Sure, certainly.
Please, if I'm on. I think it's very sad to read in the minutes that the council hasn't got the resources to run an allotments competition.
Discussed at the meeting, yes.
I mean, Councillor Posnett, she judged on many occasions, and the most we got out of it was a sandwich. So I can't see, what the resources are that we can't afford.
Will be noted for the cabinet and the council to consider. Thank you. Yeah,
and we don't seem to recognise it.
Yeah. Item number 3, declarations of interest. I invite members who wish to do so to make declarations of interest in respect of items on the agenda for this meeting. A member with a personal interest must declare the interest at the beginning of the meeting but can take part in the debate. A member who, with a disclosable pecuniary interest or a pecuniary interest, has to declare it and cannot take part in the debate and should leave the room during the debate on that item. Is there anyone who wishes to declare an interest? Councillor Posnett.
It doesn't look as if we're talking about anything to do with the County Council tonight, but in case we do, I am a member of Leicestershire County Council.
We'll proceed now to item 4, review of the forward plan. You've got a copy of the forward plan which shows key decisions which are due to be made by Cabinet over the next 3 months. Are there any comments from those attending? I have none personally, but if there's anyone here wish to comment on Cabinet's work over the next 3 months? No, so that has been noted, please. Now we move to review item 5, review of the Scrutiny Work Programme 2021-2. Scrutiny's work programme outlines the areas of work which we expect to scrutinise during this civic year. I would like to draw attention to the development of the Scrutiny work programme for 22-3. As those of you who have served on the committee for a while now, usually we hold a Scrutiny work programme workshop with SLT in order to identify topics for the work programme and for committee meetings. It is proposed that we hold this workshop on the 20th of June. If you are in agreement, then I'll arrange for the invites to be sent out in the coming days. Regarding the health and leisure workshop, members have the option of an informal light touch discussion in mid-May or a more in-depth discussion with design options in early July. Also, it is proposed that the first half of the workshop would be for SLM to come and give members a presentation. When members have expressed an opinion, invites will be sent out accordingly. So are there any comments on the work plan? So I've got, looking at it, the health and leisure and well-being with SLM is either in mid-May, an informal workshop, or a more detailed option with the design for various choices for us to look at in early July.
I'm sorry, Councillor Charles, but I've already got a meeting in my diary for the 20th of June, an evening meeting. So if that date could possibly be moved, then be able to attend.
Can we look at that? Yeah, that's also the 13th. The 13th was the second choice. You can't do the 13th. What we'll have to do is look at it. So when the invites do come out, we'll formulate a date that suits most of the committee. Councillor Evans.
Thank you, Chair. Slightly confused here. Are you giving us options here, or are both meetings going to take place?
No. It is one or the other. The second one, they will be given as options with a more detailed work than a mid-May informal presentation.
But I'll come back. I'm trying to get this. Obviously, we're looking at our health facilities, which we all know are, the swimming pool in particular, falling apart or getting that way. How detailed, I suppose it's difficult to vote for one option or another when we don't know Well, I mean, I wouldn't want to get a fait accompli in July, where we just basically said, this is what we're going to do. But I also wouldn't want to go early and get such a sketchy delivery that we also don't know what this is. To me, as scrutiny, it's up to the executive, the cabinet, to do what they want to do, but they
Yep.
should come forward when they've got, I think, a preliminary idea of where they're going and say to scrutiny, what do you think? Because if they go too far down that pipeline, it's too late for us to do anything. If they say, we're putting it here, it's going to be a 3-lane swimming pool, whatever, I'm making it up, kids there, all the rest of it, it's too late then. We need to have a skeleton that they think is the right thing to do with options,
Well,
in my opinion.
yeah, the information I've been given is rather sketchy. I understood that when the early July one would give some options to scrutiny to comment on.
It's been a long day. What kind of options are we talking about? Places where a swimming pool could go, or tennis courts, or whatever? I don't know.
If I get Michelle to update on that.
Yeah, so I think what would be helpful if I can ask the Director for Growth and Regeneration just to put a clear plan together for each of those sessions, what they would entail, and then to send that to the chair to then share with the committee. We do that as a follow-up, and then you've got that clear information written, if that's helpful, and then we can, yeah, hopefully resolve that outside of
That
this.
would particularly helpful. Yeah, Councillor Glancy.
I think really what we're discussing here is how early in the process does scrutiny get involved. So do we get involved at the very start, but we need something actually to look at to say, right, what are the options? Do we want A, B, C, or D? Then give them the options and then come back with the proposal for option D. So I do think we might need the 2 meetings, not just the one.
That's definitely, that's the impression I get before I came here, that there'll be one meeting in May or the July, and then come back to us with when we've seen what options we go for. Yes, I see it as 2 meetings. Yeah. No, there'll be, in my opinion, there should be 2 meetings. Yep.
Can we have that clarification then, please, so we know what we're dealing with?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that there's really a case for an early and a later meeting, so that we know at least which general direction we're heading. There must be something to tell us in May, and we might have some relevant input at that stage, and it would save going down a route that we weren't aware we were even considering. So I think it's quite important to have the 2, to have the preliminary, and if we're happy with that, then we'll have some idea what might come to us later, and at least it won't come as a surprise. So I think both the informal one and a presentation with options, because if the July one's going to have options, there must be some options being formulated in somebody's head already.
I mean, what's it, Councillor Glancy?
Yeah, sorry. I've just checked my diary and I'm away from the 5th of May for a week. So I would, if those dates could be avoided, I'd be very appreciative. But sorry, I understand totally if you can't avoid those dates.
I think what we need to do here is to take a vote on whether you want an informal May meeting before a more formal workshop with the designs in July. Councillor Posnett.
We did have the briefing, didn't we, about we did have the briefing about this. So in one way, that could be the informal meeting that we've already had, because they told us what they were thinking of doing, not what they were actually going to do. And there were plenty of comments made about those sorts of issues. So I'm just querying whether we need an informal meeting and then
Well,
we need two meetings.
having resolved that, there will be two meetings. Maybe we go for the July one with some options, and then a report comes back to scrutiny with more detail on them. So we'll have a vote on this, because that's the only way to resolve it. Which councillors would like an informal meeting in May if they are available to attend?
I think the problem personally I have is we had, as you know, as was pointed out before, a presentation which we all commented, I think, was so poor that as a provisional where we are and where we're going, it was so sketchy and so, oh, we like swimming was a part of the presentation and all the rest of it. I just feel we haven't had that provisional one because none of us were happy, I don't think, with what those consultants produced. And I thought that was our feedback to the cabinet. We aren't getting enough detail here to actually make a comment because it's so vague and so nebulous at the moment as to what this council is going to do to provide sports for the future. And that was our concern. And I think that's still our concern. And I think my worry is that the cabinet think they've already got a basis to move forward. And from what I felt at that meeting, we didn't at all.
No, well, I don't think we know any idea what the cost is going to be and what we can afford, because prudential borrowing is not cheap anymore. So, I mean, the director for growth and regeneration isn't here tonight, so we can't answer for her. But we will take a vote which way this committee want to go forward. Councillor Illingworth.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to propose that we have the informal May meeting because things must have moved on somewhat from the unsatisfactory presentation we were given. We would like to think we wouldn't just get that again. So I'd like to propose that we have the May informal one followed by the July detailed one.
Second, that Councillor Evans.
That, because I agree entirely. We need to do this right. It's a big commitment. We've got to get it right. I mean, I hear on the grapevine that Town Estate are getting involved in this proposal and all the rest of it. Well, I don't think it's any secret that Town Estate own a lot of land on the southern bypass. And obviously, therefore, will be a major beneficiary if that was to go ahead. So,
can we have a show of hands for a May meeting? A May meeting, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's unanimous. So we go for an informal May meeting, followed by, if timetable fits, one with more options in July, and maybe, Councillor Evans, a third one if need be. Councillor Wilkinson.
I was going to say, Chair, say if the timetable fits, it's cabinet can push it back if needs be. If we're not happy, then they need to make allowances for that scrutiny to take place.
And the annual meeting with senior leadership team, standalone one, we'll be looking at 13th, maybe 13th. we'll look at dates for that. And the HRA business plan and housing development strategy will be on the 6th of June, along with the analysis of the consultancy spend over the last 5 years. That's been programmed on. Councillor Evans.
Because somewhere in my diary, and it may be a mistake on my behalf, I had in my diary something about the climate change met last week or this week, and I just wondered, there seems to be no reference to the membership and how it's going, as it were.
No, there's climate change
Has it been
and the debt
brought?
management, which have got to quickly follow up. We haven't got dates for the climate change one. That was the final one on my list from several months ago. Yeah, it's not with. There's been a workshop, I think.
If it's on our agenda, we need to know what they're doing, surely. And I haven't a clue. And I haven't even a clue what the membership is, to be honest, at the moment.
I can't help you there, so we need to we need to find out where we are on that, because Councillor Posnett has already raised that some 2 months ago with myself. So, but it's slotting all the items in, but it will be noted. Thank you.
Councillor Chard, may I just comment, just for clarity, so I can feed back to SRT colleagues on the health and leisure workshop. We have had an offer that in terms of setting the scene around the current offer, the current provision, sorry, not offer. SLM, who are our current provider, were happy to provide a presentation which would just talk about what what was in place currently. Are members minded to include that as part of the informal workshops at the start of that, so that sets the scene and provides that context? Because I just need to feed back to those colleagues.
I think it'd be perfect for them to come in, do their presentation, and then leave the workshop for the rest of the evening. So we'll take that as read. Okay, thank you for the clarification. I'd like to invite Councillor Graham, portfolio holder for People and Communities, to present his presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It gives me great pleasure. I think if I could just start by saying, if I'll take questions as we go through it, and if I'll be looking at various notes on various bits of paper, if you could make the chairman aware of any questions, and then if you just let me know, and we'll try and answer them. Michelle is sitting beside me and will correct me the whole time when I go totally wrong, and help me when I'm flummoxed. We've got various slides in front of us, and the first one is basically what we're discussing tonight, which is my portfolio, which is people and communities, which sounds terribly simple. I'm hoping by the end of this evening you'll realize quite how complicated it is. But it is the one bit of council life which actually I personally find the most interesting. I've always, if one can actually help people who are in trouble, then that is the one thing which, it's not a question of being a saint, it's a question of actually getting more pleasure from doing that oneself than any other role. So hopefully this evening we'll be able to explain what we're doing, how we're doing, and if you've got any questions or any suggestions on how we can do things differently, please do let us know. Slide 2, which we're on now, really basically says that I'm responsible for number 1, which is always rather exciting. And now we've moved on to slide 3, which is really what we're going to talk about this evening, all listed down there. So if I could move on to slide 4. which is the leadership changes. And this basically explains that I took over this role in July, having had 2 years in the wilderness as being mayor, not knowing quite what was happening. And I took over from Alan Pearson. Also in July, Michelle arrived, also finding the world very strange in Melton Borough Council. And I think that when she looked at all issues that she was responsible for, and there were quite a few, the housing needed sorting out predominantly. And so that obviously took center stage. And while we kept the act on the road, but we didn't really concentrate it much while the housing, and Michelle did assure me by the 1st of April, the housing will be under control. And I have a feeling it is. I think she's done an amazing job with Ronan. And I had Albert for a bit, and he left in January. And on the 1st of April, Friday, David Walker started as our new Safer Communities lead. And at 9:30 in the morning, we had a meeting together. I will.
Can I just stop you there?
Yeah.
Whilst the councillor leaves the room, thank you. I think I'm going to ask here if the streaming can be just taken down, and I'm adjourning the meeting for 5-10 minutes. Thank you. ladies and gentlemen, and for all those watching on YouTube, due to unforeseen circumstances, we're now adjourned. We won't be continuing the meeting, and any unfinished business will be on the agenda for the next available scrutiny committee, whenever that is. So thank you very much and good night.